Welcome to GoPowerCat.com's PowerChat, sponsored by Blue Mark Energy from the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Well, sometimes you just need a change in life. And if you're Skylar Thompson, fortune smiles at you and you don't have to leave your school. The change happens for you. Chris Kleiman, someone who recruited Skylar when he was a quarterback in the Kansas City metro area, arrives at Kansas State, and he already knew that head coach from that recruitment. We covered a lot of ground with Skylar Thompson, so let's get to it. Here's our Power Chat with Kansas State quarterback Skylar Thompson. Welcome to the Power Chat with Skylar Thompson, Kansas State quarterback, junior year. How's your summer going, man?
It's going really good, really good. I would say it's one of my best summers that I've had here in Manhattan. It just with a lot of change in the program. There's been a lot of excitement. Our guys have been really excited for this summer and have sought the opportunity of picking up where we left off from spring ball and really buckling down and really trying to make the most of our opportunities this summer and workouts and whatnot. And I've truly have had a lot of time to get to know and hang out with my teammates outside of football on the weekends and stuff like that, which has been awesome. This past weekend I had the starting O-line back to my house in Kansas City. My dad grilled up a bunch of food. And a lot of food, and we just got to hang out and kind of just get away from football and whatnot, and I've really enjoyed that aspect of the summer. But no, I would say it's been a really successful summer for myself and for our football team. We're really excited. We're to that point in the summer right now where we're ready to go strap up the pads and go to fall camp and get ready for the season. So we've had a really good summer. I'm really excited to see the work we put in the summer pay off in the season this year.
We got a lot of ground to cover, but we're taping this in late July, and you're in camp now, so we won't get into a lot of football with this. We'll get into some later in the second portion of the interview, but let's stick with the summer. This summertime for a team, you're away from your coaches, but not. They can't. They're limited in what they can do. Coach Dawson, who I'll ask about later, really has you for the summer and conditioning. But in many ways, this is when the team's built, isn't it? In this off season, when you guys got to be self-motivated, get after it, and really get to know each other and bond.
Yes, for sure. And like you said, the coaches aren't around. Coach Kleiman, all those guys, they keep in contact with us, but they can't be there at workouts to see how, who's doing what, who's doing well, get on the guys who are not doing well. It's given us a lot of ownership in the program as players and the leaders on the team to really step up and hold people accountable, which I think, like you said, really forms a football team and really gives us that opportunity and chance to do so. And that's what I've really seek this summer as an opportunity to do that. And I feel like more so this year and years past that I've had a lot more command and say in the things we do. And the guys on the team have followed my lead and really have bought into my leadership and other guys on the team leadership. And it's just it's really cool to the summer is really my favorite time of year, just in the fact, like you said, like it's just us, it's just the football team. There's no students really on campus. It's literally Manhattan. It's just athletes and majority of the football team. So it's a pretty cool time of year, and it really just sets the stage for the season and the team we want to be, and we just try to spend as much time together as possible, both in the facility, outside of the facility, and just try to get around guys that you're not your best friends on the team. Freshmen, investing yourself in guys that are walk on, whatever the situation may be. Just making sure you're getting involved with your teammates, getting to know them personally, more so than just the football aspect, and that's what really brings teammates together in our team as a whole. And I think what really separates the good from the great team is whenever you get in the midst of a really tough battle, and the person's next to you, his story and what he's gone through and why he's there. It really just makes you play just that much harder and want to go in for those guys. And I think that's really important and something we've been trying to build on this summer.
Now, people think of Manhattan in the summer, fun times, yeah, but your schedule is remarkable. In fact, you had like a 2-hour opening in your day, and you're spending it with us. Thank you.
Yeah.
But it's nonstop work, isn't it? Even in the summer.
Yeah, it truly is. We're taking summer classes, and there's some guys on the team that are not since they've graduated and whatnot. But it's a full schedule every day, and even if there isn't a set schedule of we got to lift or captain's practice or whatever it may be, there's still things that need to be done. As far as watching film, extra throwing, extra lifting, all these different. There's always something you can do and something you get better at, and that really just you'll blink your eyes and it'll be 9 o'clock at night and you're just getting done with things. And that's a good thing though. It's a good thing. I've always been heavily invested in sports, so my whole life has been super busy. That's what I'm used to and what I'm accustomed to. And when it's not busy, it's one of those things where I just sit there and just look from my left to right and what the heck am I doing? I feel like I'm not getting anything accomplished. I feel like I'm just being a bum. And when that's not necessarily that's the case, but it's just you're so used to that constant routine of doing something all the time. When you don't have something going on, it's kind of just twiddling your thumbs. And I'm a thinker. I tend to overthink things when I'm not busy. So I do my best to keep at it and keep myself occupied and focus on the things I need to work on. You
mentioned summer school. You came your spring semester of your senior year, which it's got to be weird.
Yeah.
But that puts you a semester ahead on the schedule. Yep. When do you get your undergraduate degree?
Yeah, so I walked in May, and I'm on pace to get it this summer.
So you finished up this summer.
Yep.
And then you become a grad student.
Yes, and I have 2
before
years.
your junior season starts. That's pretty cool. So you're probably going to get a master's before you're done playing.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan.
Incredible.
The plan is to get into a master's program or a double major or do something that's going to benefit me and life outside of football for sure. Right now I'm kind of have my heart set on coaching eventually.
Get that master's.
At the college level. So that's definitely going to benefit me, trying to get something along with student relations or communication, something like that. But also, kind of free up a little bit more space to pay attention and focus on football a little bit more. But it's going to be a very, very good tool to having that master's and having the time to do that.
You mentioned you're an overthinker. Did you overthink last season? It seemed like it got into your head a little bit, everything going on.
Yeah. And just it was a situation not to be really to be spoken about. It wasn't the proper way to go about it. And Alex and I both were in a very tough situation where it caused a lot of self-inflicting questioning issues, I think, between the both of us. But I've always been the type of person and player where I always try to control everything and get a vision of this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is how I'm going to get there, and then I just go do it. And for my entire life, the majority of the time, that's worked out for me. And last year was the first that didn't happen, and it was a tough stretch there for really the whole season, and even after the season as well. Just in the fact that I had all these pictures of myself winning the starting job fully, and being a redshirt sophomore and stepping in the position and being successful. With K-State's history at quarterback, that usually doesn't happen with a young quarterback, and I wanted to be the first to do that and accomplish all these things, go to a bowl game, all these different things. And whenever things started just spiraling down and not planning out that way, I was questioning a lot about myself, really, as a person and as a player, a leader. And I was fighting an injury as well that I suffered in August. Had we call it a sports hernia. It's not an actual hernia, but I had a bunch of micro tears in my groins and whatnot that I played through and eventually just made worse and led down to my adductors. And it would get to the point where after a game I would be able to roll out of bed, and I didn't feel even close to even 75-80% till Friday before a game, and then it's just all just set back again, and it just got worse and worse as the season went on. But I didn't want to sit out, and I didn't want to necessarily lose my spot
right.
by being injured. But it definitely had an effect on my play a little bit, because I just never felt 100% at all. And then later on versus TCU, got a concussion, and that was my first concussion I ever had. And that was a pretty dark experience as well, just being in a week absence of practice, class, couldn't watch TV, look at my phone, couldn't do anything besides sit in a dark room all day and sleep. But I slept so much that we'd be at practice and I'd be sitting in a room just sitting there looking at the wall for 3.5 hours and with nothing to do. So obviously I'm sitting there just thinking about everything. And that was tough. That was really tough. And I'm not afraid to really share my personal experiences, good and bad, just in the fact that I would hope that, my experiences will be able to help other people out there who may be experiencing something, obviously maybe not in the football aspect, but just in life in general of, it's a true learning experience and a time in my life that was pretty difficult, but as many people know that I've experienced much worse in my life. So that kind of put things in perspective, but I'm very appreciative for that time that I had last season. And there was a lot of, I say all those things, but there was a lot of good things to take away from that as well. I got some good experience and got some, good competition with the Big 12. And, it's just the more reps and repetition and, mistakes and good, you learn so much. And I'm so thankful that I had that opportunity to do that last year and kind of walk away from last season with that fire in my stomach of, I don't want to ever experience this ever again, and go through this. But even after the season, we didn't make a bowl game, and I shouldered a lot of that, and there's a lot more that goes into the game and system than just myself. But being a quarterback, you're in control of so
right.
much that whenever you win or lose, you majority of the time get more praise than you deserve, and when it goes bad, you're going to get it all too. So that was something that I just took in and felt like it fell on my shoulders, and that hurt me pretty badly as well. And it's kind of just off the field, just led me down just a dark path as well. I was just not myself, didn't feel like myself, and the person that and values that I have, I just got to where I didn't really care about much, and it just it was a good learning experience. Looking back at it now, I'm really thankful that I did go through all that, experiencing that darkness and adversity. And I know with everything, when I was a kid and lost my mother and all, in high school where, early on we had some, really, state championship expectations, and we couldn't just seal the deal. And I was just questioning, is this ever, is this going to happen? I'm doing everything I can do. Is this, why is this happening? But, God's always found a way to work things out for me and present them to me at the perfect timing. And that's just what I've been leaning on the most of just relying on God's timing and not my own. And that's paid dividends in my life, truly.
You brought it up, and, for people who don't know, last season by far wasn't the most challenging thing you've gone through. What, you were 6 years old when your mother was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, and she fought, but there wasn't much fight to be done. It was kind of over. How dark of a place was that for you and your father and your siblings?
Yeah. Well, I was 6 years old, and I remember, when I first heard the news from my dad. My dad was a principal at Palmyra High School, and I got home from school. I went to his office after school. I walked in there, and my sister was in there, and she was already crying. And my dad said he needed to talk to me, and he just said that my mom was very sick, and we're gonna have to do some stuff to get her taken care of, but she's gonna be okay. Like I hear sick, I'm like, oh, she's got a cough or the flu or something.
You're 6.
Yeah.
It's hard to conceptualize.
Yeah, she's gonna be good, and my family did a great job of holding themselves together, and just going about their business, and we're gonna go fight this thing, and have that mindset we're gonna win. And my mom truly displayed that from the very get-go, from what I remember, and that whole process of her treatments. My dad, they went to Minnesota, they went to all these different cancer treatment places to try to get the best treatment they possibly could for her. And like you just stated, that it was stage 4. Like, it was, when they caught it, it was pretty much a done deal, is what the doctors were saying. And a lot of the doctors were just saying, you should just be happy and just live it out, and whenever it's your time to go. And my mom, I think, truly was having me in the back of her mind, like, I'm not gonna go down without a fight,
right.
And she did. She went down to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and did treatment there. And for a while with my dad stayed down there with her while my older brother and sister took care of me, and we went down and visited her and all those different things. And it was, in the midst of how tough her life was going, like, anytime I was around her, it was all smiles. It was all smiles and happiness and loving me and caring for me and wanting to know how I'm doing, doing it, asking if there's anything she can do to help me out. And I remember those bits and pieces of those little moments of my time with her. And it's a couple, I want to say, she got diagnosed in like November and passed away later in May, so about 6 or 7 months. And it was a whole process of, she was losing her hair and she just was losing weight. She just did not look good, and I knew something was going on, even at a 6-year-old kid. And she, I want to say it was later, early on in May, like, there was a recliner in my parents' bedroom that's where she was always stationed at, and hooked up to the oxygen tank. She could barely, open her eyes and talk. Like, I knew something was not right. And my dad one day, woke me up and told me to go say bye to my mom. We were going to go to your cousins and whatnot. He knew what was going to take place that day, and I think he wanted he didn't want me to see that with my own eyes, at such a young age of my mother's last breath. But so I was over at my cousin's house, and whenever that happened, and my dad just left pretty quick. My aunt started crying, and later on they told me what had happened. And it was a pretty tough time for me and my dad and our whole family in general. Just my mom was a great person, great woman, and that's one of my favorite things to do, now, because I have trouble, like, I don't remember her voice. I don't remember, like, little things like that, and that really, really eats at me sometimes. But I'm so thankful that I have family and friends that were so close to her that I can lean on them to tell me stories about her, tell me how she talked, how she was, like, what was her favorite thing to do, all these kind of things. And that brings a smile to my face, and I'm very thankful for those types of people. But with my dad and I, we had so much family gathering around us, and people that flew in from all over the place to make sure we were okay and spend time with us during that time, that it, I didn't really even, have time to think about it. And
out of that, though, you and your dad became really close.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to get into. So after everybody, started leaving, and about a couple months passed, and it was just him and I sitting at the dinner table, and I do remember looking at him and like, you know, because I was a huge mama's boy. He was a principal. He was always gone during the week, always at meetings or supervising sporting events. So it was her and I all the time. Like that was my right hand man and my mom. And so whenever she was gone, I was just like, wow, like who's gonna cook me dinner? Who's gonna tuck me? Like who's gonna do all these things for me? And even my dad, I think, kind of was like, holy cow, like I gotta do all this now. Yeah, along with my job and everything. And it was an eye-opening experience for the both of us, but that was also the very start to a special relationship with my dad that, you know, I think anybody who's really close to the both of us really, you know how close we are and understand that. And, you know, I'm very thankful that I had a father like that really embraced the opportunity of raising me and surrounding me with people that could help him out, because he knew he couldn't do it alone. And we had a bunch of, you know, family that still came along, and my Uncle Blair, my dad's brother, always would be down there every weekend to help my dad out and do the things he could. My Aunt Hannah, there was tons of people that helped, and you know, it led on to my dad remarrying my stepmom Kathy, who's now in my life. And you know, that was also a period of where I was just like, okay, do I call her mom? Do I do this? Like, it was tough too, and tough for her as well. You know, I sit here and say it was tough on me, but like, you put yourself in her shoes of stepping into a man's life who lost his wife and a little 6-year-old boy who lost his mom. Like, that's pretty tough for her too. And I don't think a lot of people in this world would be so, you know, passionate and driven to seek that opportunity to do that like she did. And she did absolutely amazing. She loved me like, you know, to the best of her ability, you know, overstepping boundaries. And, you know, I think that was really a hard thing for her to do, is how do I do this without overstepping and, you know, doing too much. But, you know, our relationship just grew over and over the years, and she always just did the absolute most to make me happy and be there for me whenever I needed someone to talk to. And she's still that way. You know, she's a really special woman in my life now, and we're so close, and I couldn't imagine really life without her. But just like what I've, you know, said over the past, you know, conversation, that there's so much to be learned through adversity and dark times, and so many blessings and stuff that take away and are granted from having something being taken away from you. And sometimes it takes patience, it takes time to see that happen and to experience that. And, you know, there are times where you're sitting there like, you know, why did this happen to me? You know, why did you take my mom? Why did you do this? Why did you take this person from me? Like, why did all these, you know, things feel like everything's coming against me right now? You know, and that's a tough situation to be in. And unfortunately, you know, I've been in that situation quite a bit in my life. But you know, it's led me to a great place now, where I cherish, you know, the very little things that I have in my life, and the people that I have that love me and take the time out of their day to care for me every single day. And whenever, you know, I feel like I'm kind of getting off track and maybe taking those things for granted, it just takes a quick second to think back to those times in my life, and it puts me right back into perspective and right back on path where I need to be. So, yeah, like I said, I'm really thankful for that too.
Life moves on, and you got to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Too many people end up dwelling in the darkness, and I understand that. You know, as a depression sufferer, I can understand how people get lost in the darkness, but you just got to keep waking up each day and moving forward. And life did settle into a rhythm for you and your dad, and you end up at Fort Osage High School in Independence, Missouri. You mentioned those early teams where you had some talent, but it didn't quite come together. Well, you visualized a championship. I don't know if you got a ring. Your senior year, and by God, that's what happened. How magical was that senior season of football? Yeah,
well, man, I'll tell you, that was one of the best years of my life, or a 6-month stretch that I've ever had. Because it was so much that went behind the scenes, and work and sacrifice that went into that season that very little people knew about, or, you know, still know about. But like, ever since that, I knew what football was. So I started playing football in 5th grade in a Pop Warner League, with all a bunch of kids that I went to high school with, but at the time we were all from the same school. It wasn't a handpicked team. Like, we were all from Independence, Missouri or Buckner, Missouri. Like, we were all right there. And we started playing in 5th grade, and from that 5th grade team, my senior year, we had 17 guys from that 5th grade Pop Warner team that were seniors on that football team.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, the amount of conversations we had from 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade of like, we're going to win a state championship together someday. Like, that is our ultimate goal. And we were in a fortunate situation, a football program with Coach Starch, that he was establishing such a rich football foundation at Fort Osage, and we had people to look up to of, E.J. Gaines, who plays in the NFL now for the Buffalo Bills, Edward Pearl, like Dalton Chrysler. There was so many like guys that we were looking up to that, they would get to that state championship game and they just couldn't get over the hump and win it. But like, we were all around and fans, like, so we got to experience that kind of experience and mojo that those guys had. And that just motivated us even more. Like, we want to be the first to go do this, and we can. And, so we got into high school. I kind of played a little bit as a freshman, just to get my feet wet, which, was a good thing. I was very fortunate to have that opportunity, and then was able to step in and start as a redshirt sophomore, or not redshirt, I don't know why I'm saying that in college, but a sophomore. That was, a lot of an experience like I had last year, where I was young. I had a really good football team around me. We had a really good run game, a really good defense, and it just kind of, I was young. Like, I was able to I had so many good surrounding pieces in me that I was no pressure on me.
Right.
Like, I have to go out there and throw 4 touchdowns or do this to win. Like, I just got to play my game and control the game, and we can win. And we were undefeated, and got into playoffs. And the game, the quarterfinals, go to state. We lost to Kearney we were like down 13-6. Got the ball. We had the ball in our hand with 2 minutes left. Had to drive 80 yards, and we were just moving it. I was like 7 for 8, I think, on my completions. We were just clicking, and hit one of my receivers across the middle, and he got tackled and he fumbled, and they recovered. I'll still argue that he was down, but that was a heartbreaking loss. And it was just another situation. Like, after the game, I was just like, I did everything I could. Like, I controlled the things I could. I put ourselves in a position to win, and it didn't work out.
After we're done here, you want to drive to Kearney and trash the place with me?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I still stay in contact with some of those, Kearney guys, and they always give me a hard time about it, and whatnot. It's pretty fun. We can joke about it now, but at the time it was not a joke. But yeah. So that was, after that season, I was just like, man, I thought we were gonna do it this year, but maybe next year, So I just went to work and, tried to focus on things I could and get better. And junior year, same thing. We were undefeated, going into that same quarterfinals game, playing against Park Hill, and literally the same situation. We had the ball, like our 30-yard line had to go 70 yards, and we were down by, I think, 2 points. So we needed a field goal or to score a touchdown. And in my mind, I was scoring a touchdown. That's what I wanted to do. And we were just clicking once again. I was throwing the ball over the place, putting it where I wanted to. We were moving the ball. We got down to, I want to say, probably around their 10-yard line. And it was like 4th and 3, and our coach decided to kick a field goal. And I was the holder at the time. And ball got snapped to me, put it down, and our kicker kicked it pretty far left, and we missed, and we lost the game that way. So it was another just like, and I played one of my best games in my entire career that game.
It doesn't matter, does it?
Had 2 incompletions and threw for almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like, it was one of my best games, and we lost. And another situation where it was, I mean, that one stung a lot worse just because it was like, not again. Like, same game, same situation. I did everything I could, and we just fell short again. And but it was, I had a really long conversation with my dad and my siblings that night after the game. where I was just like, well, why is this happening? Like, I'm doing everything I can. Why is this not happening? And they just kept telling me that, it's just not the right time. It's just, you gotta trust God's timing for you, and just control the things you can control, and it'll all work out. And so, there was also a lot of recruiting pressure that junior year. I was trying to get offers, play well. So I knew, like, if I won a state championship, like, they would put me on the radar pretty well. So anyways, I went on and started getting offers that off season. And one of my biggest, things that I went by was, before I wanted to be committed before my senior year. Sure. Because I was like, I'm not having this distraction. Like, I'm going to win a state championship. And so I was pretty quick at it whenever I found a school that I was in love with to commit to. And there was a lot of games just being played with me, with people recruiting me. They saying I was too small and from Missouri, all these different things. Wanted to wait till my senior season to kind of evaluate me some more. And so I was just like, obviously they're not that interested. And because I did have some schools that were like, we're going to offer you, and K-State was one of them. So I visited out here quite a bit, and just, I love the family atmosphere, and it felt like a good fit from the very get-go. So I just didn't hesitate and committed and got that off the board, and then went into the senior season. And we were ranked first in the state going into the year. We had, I think, 31 seniors on our football team. On both sides of the ball, we were starting pretty much seniors across the board. Like I said, most of which I played with in 5th grade. And it was so cool, because like I said, there would be nights in the summer where I would be sitting there with some of my receivers around the pool or at my house, and we'd be sitting there like we're gonna go win state this year. Like, this is how we're gonna do it, and we're all in together, and it's our time to go do it. Like, it's worked out. Like, what a better way to go out senior year and win a state championship together. So we went on, and I think started the season 9-0, and then our last conference game, senior night, we lost to Liberty North. It was a 1-score game too, and we just came up short on a 4th down play, and that was a brutal loss, just because it was senior night. It's like, we've worked so hard together throughout our whole lives, and this was like, we're gonna go out with a win on our last home game, and we lost. And it was almost like, it was kind of like, to me, I remember sitting in the locker room, like, I separated myself from everyone and sat there and was really upset. But I also sat there and was like, maybe this is really gonna help us, because in years past we hadn't had a loss in the regular season. We didn't know what it felt like to lose. And so I seek that as like, maybe this is a wake-up call for all of us, and our coaches and our players. Everybody did, because we were ranked #1 in the state. Everybody was saying, you guys are going to win state this year. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. And we lost. And that just opened our eyes that we're not invincible. We can be beat. And that, I'm telling you, that was a turning point of our season. We went into the playoffs, the next week, and it was just, we were a whole new football team. Like, we were clicking on all cylinders, defense, offense, special teams, every aspect, playing our best football at the most perfect time of the year. And it was no more regular season, so my head coach was not afraid to run me and get me hurt. So I was kind of turned loose a little bit more in the playoffs, and we had just a lot of success. And we got into the same quarterfinals game versus playing Park Hill, same team we lost to a year before on that field goal. And I remember, I think my senior year, that Park Hill, they were more talented than the year before. So I knew it was going to be a dogfight again, but I remember watching film that whole week, and guys on our team, and we were all just like, we're not going to let this one get away from us. And I remember walking down in my basement, Thursday night, we always had like a ritual thing where we always went out to eat. All my teammates did, and we would eat and just talk about what we're going to go do tomorrow. And then, so after that happened, I went home Thursday night, and my dad was downstairs and was sitting there, and that's always our time of the week to talk about, what's going to happen tomorrow. What my dad wants to know, what's the game plan? What are you guys going to do? How are they looking? How are we looking? And I remember just sitting there, and my dad knew, like, Park Hill, they were ranked #1 in the state because we had just lost to Liberty North. So he knew they were really good and talented. They had multiple D1 guys on their team, and I sat there and was like, Dad, we are gonna win tomorrow, and not just win. We're gonna win by a lot. I truly believe that. And we went out there and won 47-13, and it was probably one of the best games of my life that I played. And after that happened, we played Columbia Battle to go to state, and it was the same situation. Went on the road, and they were probably a far more talented team than we were, but it was just like we had the mindset at that point in time. It was like, we're not going to be stopped. We're not losing. We went out there and won, I think, 42-12 or 16, something like that. And once again, I played one of my best games. And then we got to state championship, playing Chaminade out of St. Louis, playing in the Edwards Jones Dome, which was the Ram Stadium, which was really cool. And it was another time where we were watching film, and these guys are really talented, probably better than us, more athletic than us, faster than us, all these different things. But there's one thing that we had that they didn't, and it was the brotherhood and camaraderie that we have had, just because we were so together and on the same page that I was like, I'm not worried about it. We just got to go play our game and play together, and we'll win. And started off the game, we went 3 and out, got stuffed in the backfield just 3 times, doing incompletion, and they scored on their second play on a slant and took it to the house. And I was like, oh crap, these guys are gonna be really good. We're gonna have to be ready to play. And next possession, we just went and scored. I don't think we got stopped the rest of the game. We won 62-14, 17, put 62 points up in the state championship, and that was a defining moment of just so much sacrifice and hard work and talk. I remember whenever the clock hit 0, hugging one of my best friends, Dante Dotson, who I literally remember sitting in my room whenever I was in 5th grade saying that we were going to do this. And all of it, you could just sense we have talked about this our whole life, and we did it. And I played the best game of my life. I set 3 or 4 state records. Our team set some state records. And I remember, after the fact, we shook hands with the Chaminade, and after we got done, my dad was a principal, so he had the access to be on the field. And I looked behind me, and my dad was just walking to me in midfield, and was able to give him a hug. And obviously it was really emotional for the both of us, because we just, this is what we've worked for. My dad drove me all across the country to get me in the best positions, to surround me with coaches and camps and all these different things that he put into it and I put into it together to experience a moment like this. And it happened. It was pretty special. It was pretty special. And I remember in that hug, he smiled at me and told me that my mom would be really, really proud of me. And it was one of the handful of moments I've ever seen my dad tear up. But it was truly special. And like I said, it was 6 months of some of the best times of my life. And what's crazy is that happened, and then 3 weeks later I was at K-State.
It was incredible.
And went from being top of the totem pole to literally the bottom in a matter of 3 weeks. So that was a huge change in my life, but it was very, very special, and a time that I'll never forget.
Well, that takes us up to his arrival at Kansas State, and when we come back after this little pause, it's part 2 of the Power Chat with Skylar Thompson.